Okay, I think we can get started for the interest of everyone who has joined on time. So good evening again, everyone. I'm Jennifer Berkmans, and I'm the General Manager of US Placements with Miles. Brief introduction about myself is I'm a qualified CPA. I did my master's in accounting in the US with University of Cincinnati, and then worked there for a year. Moved back to India and started working with PwC, worked with them for 2 years, and then I started working with Miles. So that's just a brief introduction about myself before we get started. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the huge shortage of accountants that US is facing, right? If all of you are present here, you've already heard about the shortage of accountants. Today we'll talk about why there is a shortage of accountants, and second, what is Miles doing exactly to, help or solve the shortage of accountants. So number one, why is there a huge shortage of accountants? Right now, if you start talking to school kids or those who are coming out of their 12th grade, they're all talking about going more into the digital stream, right? To go into science and tech, data science, data analytics, data engineering, data mining. All of this becomes the buzzword. Not a lot of people, or you don't hear a lot of people saying that they want to go into accounting. This is the same case in the US as it is in other places as well, but especially in the US because there the AI is spoken about a lot more, and school kids who are graduating want to go into the science stream. Because of all of this, universities are finding it that they don't have a lot of enrollments for the Masters in Accounting program, and the enrollments have dropped significantly over the years. Now, if there's not many people or not many students pursuing a master's in accounting, that means the public accounting firms are not going to be able to find the right talent, right? And apart from all of this, there's been a drop in the number of candidates who enroll for the CPA as well. This again aligns with the fact that everyone not too inclined to go towards accounting as they want to move more into the science or the tech industry. Okay, so this is the reason why there is a huge shortage of accountants, but I'm going to show you a couple of things that we've been seeing over the years where Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, Fortune, many of these companies have been talking about the shortage of accountants in the US. Additionally, I'm also going to play a video that talks about the shortage of accountants there.
Global economy is in crisis. There's a huge accountant shortage, and America wants you.
There are 17% fewer accountants employed.
300,000 accountants and auditors leave the profession. So let me get this straight. We're currently short on.
Miles has cracked the puzzle for Indian accountants to work in the U.S. for 3 years. Become a flag bearer for Indian accounting talent as you live the great American dream.
So as you can see, this is not something new. It's been happening over the years, and everyone's been trying to figure a way to solve the shortage of accountants. If we talk about statistics, year on year, there's about 126,000 plus job openings for accountants and auditors. But the number of accounting graduates every year is around 70 to 73,000. So what we are trying to do at Miles is to bridge or to close this gap of 53,000 plus, right? So there's an expected shortage every year of accountants, around 53,000, and we are trying to solve for this shortage. How exactly did Miles crack the puzzle for Indian accountants to work in the US? I'm sure many of you here have family or friends in the US who moved to do their masters and then stayed back to work there, right? If not all, most of them would have been in the group of the science industry, right? So the science stream. So what it looks like for someone who goes, what we call as techies, what they do is they finish a BTech in India. They pursue a master's in the US, which is typically an 18-month course. After that, they get a 3-year work permit. And the reason they get a 3-year work permit is because of these 4 letters, STEM, right? STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Because science is involved and they take a master's in engineering course, they get a 3-year work opportunity post their graduation. After the 3 years, if the employer is willing and is doing the sponsorship, then they can go ahead for the H-1B visa and they stay for an extra 6 years. right? So this is how the typical techie moves from India to the US. So we saw that it's been possible for techies. So what exactly can we do for accountants? Typically, masters in accounting did not have any course that was STEM certified, right? Because of this, you only got a 1-year work permit. Okay, so because it was non-STEM, it was a 1-year work permit as opposed to being STEM certified. So what we did is we partnered with universities across the US and integrated business analytics into the MS accounting program. So making these programs STEM certified. So right now, the curriculum of MS accounting is such that it is STEM certified. So that means that even now, as an accounting graduate, you get a 3-year work permit post-graduation. Additionally, what happens, you see the OPT and STEM in the right-hand side of the screen. OPT is optional practical training. That is your 3 years of being able to work in the US. It says optional, it says training, but it's a full-time job opportunity that you get post your graduation with a master's in accounting. And STEM, we just discussed what STEM is. So we'll talk a little bit about the 3 parties that are involved in the Miles US pathway before moving on to the university side of it and the public accounting firm side of it. So the 3 pillars that is involved in the Miles US pathway that Miles is bringing together, number 1 is Indian accountants, all of you who are present in this session. Indian accountants who have not had the opportunity to move to the US previously, because we just spoke about it, it was a non-STEM course. Universities, because they were not seeing a good number of enrollments for the Masters in Accounting program. There have been a number of schools in the US who have had to stop or had to shut down the MS accounting program simply because they didn't have the students enrolling for the program. And the last one is going to be public accounting firms. We'll talk a little bit in detail about how exactly Miles is collaborating with public accounting firms in the US. But public accounting firms, because Masters gives you the advanced knowledge in auditing, accounting, and taxation. And because students are not graduating with a master's in accounting, public accounting firms find it difficult to find good and right talent for their firms. So another reason why students do masters in accounting or previously used to do masters in accounting in the US is that a typical undergrad in the US gives you 120 credit hours, right? The master's in accounting is a 30 credit hour program. So those who are pursuing their undergrad in accounting have the intention to do their CPA as well, right? So this 30 credits will give you the 150, 120 plus 30, 150 credit hours to meet the CPA license requirements. Most of the states, if not all, allow you to sit for the CPA exam with 120 credit hours, but to get the license, you need 150. Usually, this is one of the biggest reasons why they take the Masters in Accounting program. Now, we already spoke about it. We have a fall in Masters and a fall in enrollment for CPA as well. Before I come into the public accounting firm side of it, I will talk a little bit about the universities. So the list of universities that we are working with is here on the screen. We had 405 students who moved to the US for the academic year 2023-24. And we are expecting 1,000 plus students to move to the US for the academic year 2024-25. Okay, so we have partnered with universities across the US. It's not just a specific area, the Northeast or the Midwest, but we have universities across US that we've partnered with. One of the most common questions that we get is we strongly advise candidates to pursue their CPA while doing their master's in accounting. But the concern that comes from candidates is that MS accounting and CPA, there just seems like a lot to be done. 30 credits is not easy. So how do I do both? As I had already mentioned, the main reason domestic candidates used to take up masters in accounting is for the 30 credit to reach the 150 credit hours, right? So the MS accounting program is actually completely built in a way that it correlates with your CPA curriculum. So the subjects that you take in your MS accounting program will be a portion of the CPA curriculum as well. So there's a lot of overlap between your MS accounting as well as your CPA curriculum. Okay, so as you can see, there's portions of FAR, Reg, BAR, and Audit. And if you look at the MS accounting curriculum, it's 70% that is going to be accounting and 30% that's going to be analytics, which is what makes the course a STEM certified course. What is unique about the Miles US pathway? Why exactly would a candidate want to go through the Miles US pathway? The entire program with the Miles US pathway has been split into two, right? So 30% of the entire program will be done online with JAXOM. JAXOM is an AACSB accredited school, and the course that you complete with JAXOM, that is 30% of the coursework, gets transferred to the US university that you get your offer letter from. Okay, so we have tied up with AACSB schools in the US. JAXOM is also an AACSB school, so the transfer becomes smooth. 30% of the coursework that you do will be online while you're in India. And this leads to a flat reduction of university fees by 30%, right? Because the JAXOM fees, you're paying it in INR as opposed to USD. So that is one of the biggest advantages. And the second thing is also that doing 30 credits over a period of 9 to 12 months can be a little taxing. Having completed 9 credits before you move to the US helps greatly, because with 21 credits, you also get more time to spend on preparing for your CPA, right? So apart from just the cost reduction, you also are saving up on time. Additionally, apart from the 30% reduction, additionally, you also get scholarships up to 40%. And we're able to achieve this because we send candidates in batches of 30 to 60 to each university, not just 1 or 2 candidates, right? So because of scale, we're able to achieve or give candidates an additional scholarship up to 40%. And to top it all off, Miles candidates are eligible for a GRE GMAT waiver as well as a TOEFL IELTS waiver. So if you've done your research, if you've gone through universities, business schools in the US, you know that an aptitude is mandatory and an English test becomes mandatory. But when you go through the Miles US pathway and you're starting the program here in India and then getting it transferred to the US, you become eligible for the GRE or GMAT waiver as well as the IELTS TOEFL waiver. Okay, so this not only leads to, again, huge savings in money, it's also a savings in time. Okay, so before I move forward, we actually have one of our alumni, Amrita, who has joined us today. Amrita has been placed, she graduated from Drexel in last month, and she's been placed with MBA in Wisconsin. So Amrita, thanks for joining us this morning. If you can give, just talk about your journey, how it has been ever since day one of starting this Miles US pathway.
So, Jennifer, thank you for having me here. So my journey, so it started with, submitting an application with the different colleges. So right from beginning, I had my support with me, whether it is submitting the applications and the different parts of applications like SOP, LOR. I had constant guidance and I was in constant touch with Miles. Post that, we had the visa interview preparation. Again, different mock interviews were taken. We had the constant guidance how to prepare for it. Post that, even when it came to the accommodation finding, Miles were always on constant touch with us, whether we got it or if we need any support from Miles. Even during school days, when college is going on, if you had any unexpected trouble, you just had to let Miles know in time so that they could take the they could take the necessary measures and they can help us out in that, whether it's a personal issue, right, or if it is related to your academics, or if it is related to your professional professional side of the life. Miles always was there for me and is constantly being there. Even when I'm starting my job, I'm in constant touch with them with regard to my different procedural aspects. One other key point is that as I was saying, Miles will be sticking on with you. You just have to ensure that you communicate with them on time and let them know what stage of the process you are in. Yep, Jennifer.
Thanks, Amrita. So can you tell a little bit about how, the entire the plan of getting your job offer, how exactly did that work out?
Okay, so for me, it was a little different. I got placed in US before coming to India, before coming to US. In the month of June and May end, I got my offer letter. and I had accepted the same. After graduate, it was a conditional offer letter that is post graduation, I'll be able to join this firm. And right now, I'm just few days away from joining the firm. I'm really excited for it. And it's for my other friends. They got placed, most of them got placed within the first few months of coming to US. Uh, our course started in September. By December, most of them had their job offer letter. With the remaining, Miles is still helping them out. And yeah. Yes, Jennifer.
Perfect. How has it been for you to, you started off in Philadelphia, you've moved to Wisconsin. How has that been so far?
It was really, really simpler than what I expected because it's a long distance from Philadelphia to Wisconsin, and the culture, the environment, everything changes here. Philadelphia was a proper city kind of place, whereas Wisconsin is kind of rural. But the people here are extremely nice. By the time it was just the apartment that we had rented out here, but by the time we came here, it was kind of well furnished because the employees, the staff in our organization, they helped us out. Even in apartment searching, they were the ones who found the apartment for us, and it was very smooth transition.
Amazing. And you are with another Miles candidate, right? At
Yeah.
NDE? Awesome.
Yes. So Nia is also joining my
the I-20. So all of this will happen around the month of August. And after that, once you receive your visa, Jan of 2025 is when you will be moving to the US to pursue the remaining 21 credits, the 70% of the MS accounting course in the US. What happens between July and Jan of 2025 is you are pursuing that 9 credits with Jackson, right? So we spoke about it. It's going to be completely online. And as soon as you complete the Jackson courses, the credits will get transferred to the university from which you've received the offer. Jan 2025, you get started with the MS accounting program, the 21 credits. You'll complete your master's and your CPA hopefully by December 2025. You graduate in the month of December and start with your optional practical training, your OPT. Okay, so this is the typical timeline for someone who starts in the month of January or who's looking for a spring 2025 intake. We'll talk about the cost that gets involved or the investment that is there. $45,000 is the cost that is estimated. Number one is going to be the $250, which is approximately 20,000 rupees that you will have to pay for enrolling with the Miles US pathway, right? So this is again going to be, this is self-paid. This is not going to be covered under loan. Step number two is pursuing the 9 credits with JAXOM. This is $9,900. And this is covered under the loan that you will, kind of utilize for the whole program. Step 3 is receiving the I-20 from the university and applying for the US F1 visa. This is around $2,000, but this does not get covered under the loan, right? So this is self-paid or it is an out-of-pocket expense. Step 4 is your CPA program, which is $2,300. Step 5 is going to be pursuing the 21 credits, your MS accounting course in the US at the US university where you've received your offer from. That is about $15,000 to $30,000. And the reason you see a range and not a stipulated amount is because each university's tuition is going to be different. Each city's cost of living is going to be different. And staying in the US, it's approximately $10,000. We are taking a conservative approach because we assume that you will not be taking an entire house and you will be sharing it with other people who are traveling to the same university. And then, staying there, everything gets covered under the loan except for the enrollment fees of $250 and the $2,000 that is required for your US visa process. What is the return on investment? So we talk about how you finish your master's and you start with a job that pays you $60,000, right? So over a period of 3 years, you have $180,000. From there, if you were to reduce $43,000, that is the loan portion of it, $13,000 interest on loan, $20,000 approximate taxes over the period of 3 years that you work in the US, and $54,000, that is your living cost for that 3-year period. You have a savings of about $50,000 plus. Okay, so this is your return on investment. The other thing that you're going to be investing is the 1 year of study to finish your MS accounting, the STEM program. And monetarily speaking, we just discussed it's going to be 2 lakh rupees out of pocket and 35 lakhs that is covered under the loan. What is your return? Your return is your 3 years of OPT employment on student F1 visa and the 50 lakh rupees per year that you will be earning, which is 1.5 crores over a period of 3 years that can be utilized for repaying your student loan. Okay, so this is the entire journey from the university perspective and how you can enroll and start the process for a spring 2025 intake. This is some of our alumni. I'm going to go back and call up Shrey, who is our AVP for Corporate Relations, and he'll talk a little bit more on what is happening on ground in the US. So Shrey, over to you.
Yep. Thanks, Jenny. Hi, good evening, everyone. Thanks for taking time on a Saturday evening to join us to further your career. So I'm Shrey. I'm AVP of Corporate Relations at Miles. So I work very closely with state CPA societies, alliances, and CPA firms in the US. So, once our candidates graduate, they're going to be working with CPA firms all across the US. So our role here is to make sure we onboard CPA firms so that our candidates can, go through the interviewing and subsequently get placed. So what we do as part of corporate relations is, a lot of outreach. So how do we reach CPA firms? Now we reach CPA firms across the US in 3 different ways. So what's our go-to market approach, right? So we reach them via 3 channels. Channel number 1 is state CPA societies. So each state, so US has 50 states. So each state has a state CPA society. Now state CPA societies are not-for-profit entities. Their role is to further the cause of accounting and CPAs. So we work very closely with about 25-30 state CPA societies at this point in time. So that's the first way we reach them. The second way we reach them is through alliances. So alliances are associations. Uh, there are several large associations such as BDO Alliance, Alenial Global, Prime Global, RSM Alliance, etc. So we work very closely with about 9 to 10 alliances, and firms typically enroll with alliances to get benefits. So that's our second channel. And our third channel is we work very closely with strategic partners who are thought leaders, think tanks. So these are accounting influencers. So essentially, we reach to firms through state CPA societies, alliances or associations, and finally, strategic partners. So this is how we reach out to CPA firms. Now, I quickly wanted to, share a few things on LinkedIn, because many of you might be aware, some of you may not be aware. So I'm quickly sharing my screen. I hope my screen is visible. So I just wanted you to do a few things very quickly. So please go to LinkedIn, type Miles Education. I know some of you here are already, students of Miles. So, just click on follow so that you get all updates from Miles Education. Now, also please make sure you follow Miles Talent Hub. So please make sure you follow Miles Talent Hub. So you're going to get all updates from the recruitment side of it. Now, in addition, I just wanted you to, quickly follow one Mr. Varun Jain, who is our founder and CEO. I'm sure you know he himself is a CPA instructor. So please follow him. So again, great opportunity for you to stay in touch with all updates. So just type Varun Jain, and please make sure you click the follow button. The next person I want you to follow is Chandu. So Chandu heads our corporate relations. So please type Chandrasekhar Nagarajan or Chandu. So now let me quickly show you some of the videos or some of the events. So, May, June is a very busy conference season. So both Chandu and I had traveled all across the US attending conferences. So here you see, this is, a meeting, a BDU area meeting that happened in Charleston, South Carolina. And here you see, you can see some pictures here. So please do follow Chandu, and you can see, the kind of activities we are doing at the ground level, working closely with alliances, state CPA societies, and strategic partners. So similarly, I'm also going to quickly show, my LinkedIn page. So please follow, me on LinkedIn. So this was one of the more recent events I had been to. So this was in Salt Lake City, Utah, for Prime Global's Leadership Summit, where it was attended by a number of managing partners, principals, shareholders. So you see some of the pictures here. And here you see Chris. Chris is CEO of Sikich, which is a top 30 IPA ranked firm. So you'll see, more conferences, more, so this is with Prime Global, and you see this is with more North America. This happened in Nashville. And if you scroll down, you're going to see a number of posts. This was with the Texas CPA event, and this was at RightWorks. So please make sure you follow Miles Education, Miles Talent Hub, Mr. Varun Jain, Chandu, and me. In addition, I'm sure all of you know it's extremely important for you to have a very good LinkedIn profile. So if you don't have a LinkedIn account, please go create one. If you already have a LinkedIn account, good job. You're off to a great start. Please make sure you keep it updated, because recruiters use LinkedIn, your LinkedIn profile to assess you. So please make sure your LinkedIn profile is up to date. So all the best to all of you. Thank you. Thanks, Jenny.
Thanks, Shrey. So Before I answer a few of the questions that I was just going through in the Q&A section, I would like to show the final part of our presentation for today. So Shrey has covered everything with regard to the public accounting firms, how exactly we build our relations with them, and how we get placement opportunities for our alumni. One of the most common questions, and I think it's everyone wants to understand what happens after the 3 years of OPT, right? So after 3 years, plan A is coming back to India after 3 years of US on-site experience. You all, of course, have your CPA designation and your US masters and savings in US dollars. What happens is Miles will assist you in placements in India. So either of two things will happen, right? One, you continue working as a remote resource to the of the firm that you had a job in while you were in the US. For example, company A hires you in the US and you worked with them for 3 years. You come back to India and continue working as a remote source. You become like this bridge between the team in India and the US because now you've been institutionalized with that firm specifically. You understand how the firm works and you also understand the clients directly, right? So that is number one. Number two is you don't continue with the same firm, but Miles will work with you in order to find a job in India. And the estimated CTC for this is going to be around 20 lakh rupees. Okay, this is our plan A. This is the first plan that we have. Second, plan B is going to be H1B visa sponsorship. Now, H1B is not something that is given on merit, right? It's a lottery system. There are multiple things that come into play. Number one becomes it is at the discretion of the employer, right? So the employer has to make a decision that they want to do the H1B sponsorship for you based on multiple factors. And once they decide to do the sponsorship and they go ahead with the nomination, it will go through a lottery system of 85,000 that get picked. Okay, so there might be hundreds and thousands of applications that go in. The ultimate is going to be 85,000 that gets picked. That is 20,000 is for the advanced degree, 65,000 is the regular category. Okay, so and everyone that goes to the Miles US pathway will be pursuing a master's degree, which means you are eligible for the advanced category as well. Okay, so these are the options that are available after your 3 years of OPT. Now, a couple of things that I wanted to answer that I saw on the in the Q&A box is CPA it's not mandatory from the firm, right? The firm is not saying it's a compulsion. It is a strong advice from Miles Education because we see that as an international student, how do you stand out? How does a profile stand out? Number one, you may not have typical US experience as soon as you complete your master's. You may have the theoretical knowledge, but for you to be able to stand out and for your profile to become marketable, pursuing CPA becomes your golden ticket, right? And at the end of the day, you are all finding jobs in public accounting firms because we are again tied up with public accounting firms extensively. So that becomes a requirement at the end of the day. So even if you get hired at one point in time, the assumption of the firm is that at some point you are going to complete your CPA. Okay, it's not that US CMA there's no opportunity in the US, but think of it as how will it be if you go to a chartered accountancy firm in India? They'll either ask you if you've completed CA or if you're pursuing CA. Kind of becomes like the standard question, right? So it's very similar if you look at a public accounting firm in the US. Number two is, can I have a full-time job while I'm pursuing my master's? Your answer is no. To hold a legal F1 student status, you should be fully focused on you should be a full-time student, not an employee. You can do part-time jobs only on campus for 20 hours a week. Okay, so when the school is in session and you have classes going on, 20 hours a week, you can work on campus. If the school is not in session and it's a summer break, you get to work for 40 hours a week. This is the stipulation to make sure that your F1 status is valid. Post your graduation, it's a full-time job opportunity that we're talking about. And one more question that I had is directly getting a job in the US. The answer again is the visa process in the US for work is not that simple, right? No one's going to just pick someone from India and say that come work in the US and I'll sponsor your visa. Again, like I said, the first thing that comes in is H1B visa. And H-1B visa is on a sponsorship basis, as we just discussed. And it's going to be at the discretion of the employer. And if they haven't seen you work and they don't know how you perform, it's highly unlikely that they will go ahead and do a sponsorship, right? So these are the reasons why directly you can't work in the US if you're going to move from India to the US. And the pathway that is there is you pursue your master's and take it from someone as someone who's done masters in the US. Please don't take it lightly, right? It's not just a stepping stone. Masters will set you up for success because you're going to be learning all those subjects really, really well in terms of auditing with US laws, taxation with US laws, and even accounting with different US based softwares, right? So it's important. It's a lot of research that goes in when you're doing your masters. To be successful in getting opportunities to interview with firms, your communication skills have to be excellent. Okay, so interpersonal skills, communication skills have to be top notch. Just bringing technical skills will not be enough. There's been a lot of times we've been through SAT and observed a lot of interviews. We know how the entire process works. In India, we're very keen on telling the interviewer, the panel, that we are well versed with these softwares and these are the kind of testings we've done. Apart from having good technical knowledge, communication and interpersonal skills play a very, very important role. So make sure that, you work. If you think that your communication needs a little bit more work, take up courses. There are so many courses online that you can pursue. If you think that, you want to pursue specifically in US taxation, already do some research before you even move to the US. Get some certifications. It's obviously not practical to do some 6-month internship before you land in the US, but you can always get certifications in QuickBooks. You can do UltraTax. There are so many softwares that you can get certifications on. So many free courses on Udemy, Coursera, and LinkedIn. Prepare yourself. Don't just, do your research, do your homework as well. It's not something where you just blindly put something out there and expect things to happen. With that, I think we conclude the session. Please get in touch with the team to understand more about the US pathway if you have any more questions. But once again, all the best to everyone who attended and would like to pursue this pathway. And thanks for joining the session. Thanks, Shrey.
Thank you. Thank you.